Good morning and welcome to today's STS-134 mission status briefing. With us today is Gary Horlocker, STS-134 lead flight director, who's just coming off his Orbit 1 shift. Gary, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. Well, folks, it's really outstanding to be with you here today. Obviously, we had a just absolutely beautiful launch yesterday and a great climb to orbit. Launch was on time, and once we got to orbit, the crew had about 5 hours of timeline available to spend mainly converting the vehicle from a launch vehicle to an orbiting spacecraft. And also, key item was to get the robotic arm checked out in preparation for today's survey activities. They were able to get everything accomplished and got to bed on time. And as we sit here today, the crew's about halfway through flight day 2. We did get the starboard and nose cap TPS inspections complete prior to my walking over here, and the port survey was in progress and mostly complete. Once the surveys are finished up, they're going to go ahead and stow the orbiting boom sensor system, the OBSS, and then go ahead and grapple the ELC payload in preparation for the install after docking tomorrow. The crew's also currently in progress checking out both of the spacesuits that will be used for the 4 spacewalks, and we'll get everything prepared and ready to transfer over to the space station after docking as well. The final key items for today will be to get the rendezvous and storm tool sensor checkouts completed and have all that systems all set up and ready for the rendezvous and docking tomorrow as well. And we do have one more final rendezvous burn to accomplish before the crew goes to bed tonight, and that'll set us up for a good trajectory for the docking tomorrow as well. Finally, today we also did get some of the mid-deck payloads activated and accomplished as well. The AMS folks, they got powered up after getting to orbit yesterday and have been working on their checkout to the payload, and everything is going extremely well with the AMS payload as well. And finally, Endeavour is performing absolutely flawlessly. We're tracking no significant issues whatsoever with the vehicle, and the crew is doing outstanding as well. As for the docking tomorrow, I got a couple milestone times that might be of interest. The RPM window open, the rendezvous pitch maneuver window open time will be 4:01 a.m. Central, and then the actual docking should occur around 5:16 Central Time tomorrow. And that pretty much wraps up where we are from launch yesterday through today, and getting ready to get hooked up with Space Station tomorrow and start the docked mission. So that's all I have. We'll take any questions folks might have.
Great. Thank you very much, Gary. Here in Houston, we have some new procedures in effect. We won't be bringing the microphone around to you today. Instead, we'll be using installed mics. They'll be directed by our audio control room. Once you've been recognized, please remember to tell us your name and your affiliation. And that's especially important today to give our audio control folks a chance to get you focused in on the mics you'll be dealing with. Question here? Go ahead.
Philip Sloss with NASASpaceflight.com. A couple questions about the rendezvous timeline tomorrow. First, the burns prior to the TI burn. Are you going to be doing an NH burn prior to the NC4 burn? Could you go through the sequence up to the TI burn?
Sure. We got the NC3 burn this evening prior to the crew going to bed. That's a very small burn, about just over 2 foot per second. And then we will have NH burn, a TI burn, and then the standard mid-course correction burns as we get in close to the station and get set up for the RPM.
And then on the storm sensors, where in the rendezvous timeline will they be activated tomorrow?
They will be activated prior to TI in preparation for, they first start acquiring about 20,000 feet on our approach, so that'll be after the TI. TI is about 40,000 feet from station. So they'll be powered up and ready to support that acquisition after the TI burn. And then they'll be tracking all the way into the actual docking.
Okay, any further questions here in Houston? Seeing none, I believe we have some reporters on the phone bridge. Mark Carreau, are you out there?
Yes, I am. Mark Carreau for Aviation Week. And I wonder if you might sort of walk us through the time frame that's required to assess the imagery that you're gathering today on the wings and nose cap, as well as from the RPM maneuver tomorrow? At what point, at what day in the mission do you sort of hope to or expect to be through with the TPS assessment?
Okay, Mark, yeah, that's a good question. The data we're collecting today, the majority of it's focused on the reinforced carbon-carbon parts of the vehicle, the wing leading edges, as well as the nose cap. Those are the areas that see the highest temperatures on reentry. We also got some other exterior images as well today. And the remaining collection of images will be captured tomorrow during the RPM. It's mainly the underside of the vehicle, but we will take detailed resolution photos of the entire external surfaces of the spacecraft. And so the data we're collecting today is actually being processed as we speak, and it will continue to be processed while the crew sleeps. And hopefully they'll get most of that behind them by the time the RPM data becomes available tomorrow. Once all that's in, if everything goes well, we expect to hear initial feedback probably right after the crew goes to sleep tomorrow, after the docking. And hopefully we'll have a good indication that focus inspection will not be required. But again, hopefully shortly after crew sleep tomorrow, we'll have our first indication of how all the data looks.
And I had a follow-up question. During the spacesuit checkout this morning, there were a couple of questions about the communications for one of the suits, and I just wondered if you heard enough to know if any of that is stuff you can work around if you have to, or that would have any sort of impact.
Yeah, they were just starting to talk that when I had to leave and come over here, but just prior to my coming over here, they did have good comm checks on both suits, so you know, it's a little premature since I wasn't actually plugged in at the time, but I believe both suits are so far looking good.
Okay, Mark, is that it for you?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Let's go to Irene Klotz.
Thanks very much. Irene Klotz with Reuters. Two quick questions. The first is, did anything pop out during the OBSS scans that are already completed?
Nothing unusual that I could identify. Of course, you know, a lot of the issues that can occur in the RCC are not, you know, visible to the eye, so the engineers really have to take a good hard look at the data once it's on the ground. But everything looked really good today.
Thanks. And did I hear you right that there's just 2 suits and that those 2 are going to be used amongst all 3 of the EVA crew members?
Yeah, we have 2 suits on the orbiter. Of course, there's several suits on station as well. So between the full complement, we're gonna have the suits for the 3 crew members to do all 4 spacewalks.
Thank you. I actually had one other one, but this probably is more for the MMT. But had you heard anything about any launch pad damage from the liftoff yesterday morning?
I've not heard any details about the launch pad at this time.
Okay, thanks very much.
Welcome.
And I believe we have Seth Bornstein with us from Kennedy Space Center.
Yes, thanks. Just again, I might have missed this. Was there any, over time, the last few hours, has there been anything new coming from the video? Does it all still look as good as it did in, the initial preliminary video for foam damage?
Yeah, there's no new information that I heard during my shift today. Everything I heard, the ride to orbit went great. Very little concern whatsoever. And then, of course, all the imagery we took today was looking really, really good too. So far, I'm not aware of any concerns at all on the vehicle.
And back to the suits for 1 second. You're saying the comms are working. Comm is working now, fine now. But it was a comm issue at first. I just want to make sure I was right. Heard that right. Is that correct? It was a comm issue, and you've overcome it.
I believe the initial report had to do with a communication problem, but like I said, they did have successful checkouts right before I walked over here. So I believe both suits are in good shape.
Okay, you understand that's all from Kennedy. Bill Harwood, are you there?
I am here, but the 3 questions that I had have been answered, so thank you very much.
Okay, and Todd Halverson, are you with us?
I am. Thanks very much. Todd Halverson of Florida Today. I was wondering about the right nose wheel landing gear tire pressure to instrumentation funny that you guys had. Is that indicative of a real problem, or is that more than likely just something with instrumentation?
Yeah, that's it's an intermittent instrumentation issue. It's been sporadic since we got to orbit, and we're just going to keep an eye on it. It should be no impact whatsoever. But we do see transducers periodically have some issues like this, so it's no big concern at this time.
Thanks, and I'm also curious about a focus inspection, if it were required. How would that affect the timeline and mission content?
Yeah, so we have the ability to go ahead and incorporate a focus inspection. I believe we have up to 4 hours available on flight day 6 that we would work in if focus inspection is deemed to be required. And again, if we need more time than that, we'll shuffle things around to make it happen. But we can accommodate a focus inspection. It would occur on flight day 6, pending no other changes to the timeline. And we would be losing no content by doing that as well.
Okay, thanks. That's all for me, John Ira.
Okay, thank you, Todd. I believe that's it for the phone bridge. Do we have other questions in here, Houston?
Philip Sloss with NASASpaceflight.com again. Just a bookkeeping question about the ascent data. Has that all been downlinked to the ground by now?
Yes, all the ascent data is on the ground. That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Very good. With that, I believe we'll wrap up the briefing. Gary, thank you very much. We appreciate your being here. Reminder that you can follow the STS-134 mission of Endeavour at www.nasa.gov. Thank you for being here.